Good evening. Welcome to California Today. I'm Ling Zhang. Here are some of today's top stories. A union strike caused the schools to close in Los Angeles today. They're demanding higher wages. The strike could last for 3 days. NTD spoke to a former public school teacher to hear more about teachers' unions, their history, and the impact of these labor strikes. The second largest school district in the U.S. canceled the classes on Tuesday for what could be a 3-day strike. About 30,000 Los Angeles education support staff backed by a teachers' union refused to cross their picket line. NTD's Jackie Reels has more on the story.
With labor talks at a standstill and no new negotiation scheduled, LAUSD campuses will be closed Tuesday and likely through Thursday as service workers begin a planned strike. In pouring rain, 30,000 workers represented by the Service Employees International Union Local 99 began picketing to demand better wages and working conditions.
So right now we are demanding that the district raises the salary so we can afford to continue living here. Because if not, we are fighting for our jobs at this point.
They included cafeteria workers, bus drivers, custodians, special education assistants, and others.
And it is to protest the unfair labor practice of the district. That means that while workers were demanding better wages, more cleaning staff so the schools can be clean.
This follows a 6-day teacher strike in 2019 and the coronavirus pandemic that closed classroom instruction for more than a year in 2020 and 2021. But Superintendent Alberto Carvalho said kids already lost a lot of ground during the pandemic. He wrote in a Twitter post, "They cannot afford to be out of school, and that is why I am appealing directly to the union leadership to engage and negotiate in good faith and find a solution that addresses the needs of all, including our students." According to the Los Angeles Times, the union, which said 96% of its membership had authorized the strike, is demanding a 30% salary increase plus a $2 per hour for the lowest paid workers.
We want a fair contract. We're open to talk, we're willing to talk, but we need something that's fair. And bringing out of the poverty line, we're below the poverty line, 25,000 average a year.
In an effort to provide more resources for students during school closures, the Natural History Museums of Los Angeles County and Los Angeles Zoo said it is offering free admission to LAUSD students grade K through 12.
We have a special guest today to talk about the current strike, Rebecca Friedrichs, a public school teacher for 28 years and a former local union leader. However, she was involved in a lawsuit against one of the largest teachers' unions, California Teachers Association. It challenged the union for forced unionism, and the case went all the way to the Supreme Court in 2016. She's also the founder of For Kids and Country, a national movement of citizens aimed to restore our schools and culture. So, Rebecca, the Los Angeles Unified School District is the second largest school district in the country. The teachers' union is demanding 30% pay increase, among other things. The district superintendent said that they would effectively put the school district in a bankruptcy position. And in the meantime, we have 500,000 students forced to stay at home. So what is your take on all of this?
Well, I taught for 28 years, my husband for 42 years. Neither one of us would ever step our foot inside of a strike. They're completely denying the children an education. After denying them education all throughout the COVID pandemic, now they're, taking it another step further, denying these children. I think the superintendent is right. This is a very difficult time in America. The economy is crashing, and for this teacher union, I want to make it very clear, most teachers don't agree with the union. So it's UTLA, United Teachers Los Angeles, is a very powerful organization that uses teachers as pawns to push a very radical agenda. And so UTLA is doing something very dangerous for the children of Los Angeles, for the people of Los Angeles. And I think it's time that the American people stand up to these so-called unions and stop allowing them to use us as pawns and to hold our children hostage for their political agenda.
Well, you were a teacher. I mean, doesn't this look like a good thing for teachers? So if they were to get the 30% pay increase, wouldn't all teachers and staff members benefit through this collective bargaining power of the unions?
Wow, well, there's a lot in that question. So first of all, in the old days, teachers weren't very unhappy with their salary before the unions came along, and things were going nicely. Teachers would, have maybe a faculty senate, and they'd sit down with their school district and with parents, taxpayers, and they would come up with fair pay that equaled the kind of money that was coming into the school district. Well, ever since collective bargaining was passed, parents were removed from the equation and taxpayers were removed from the equation. So actually, collective bargaining is not healthy for any of us. Now, a lot of teachers think it's good because the unions have told them that it's good, but it really isn't. And let's just question this 30% raise. We are in the worst economy in decades. And the children in Los Angeles Unified School District, in large part, are failing. They didn't receive an education for over a year, or they were getting a mishmash of thrown together online education. The children are suffering. The people are suffering. Many of the families' businesses have gone out of business. And these teachers want a 30% raise? I really question the motives of people who would not put their community first, would put themselves first. So again, I don't think it's the rank and file teacher that's behind this. I think it's a union agenda.
So do you believe the unions today represent the majority of teachers in the state on issues such as school reopening, vaccination mandate, CRT, sex education, and transgenderism?
The unions 100% do not support the opinions and desires of the majority of teachers. I speak to hundreds of teachers, all the time. That's all we do. And I can tell you, every teacher that I've spoken to has said, I'm not afraid to go teach. I'm not afraid of the COVID. Every teacher I know is 100% against this agenda to transgenderize children, to hide it from their parents, to, call the child some pretend pronoun without telling their parent. Great teachers work with parents to support parents in great education for children. And so all the teachers that I know, and the real teachers in America, they're out there to serve and to give children a great education. And these unions are destroying the great education. They're removing outstanding things like phonics and Western civilization, and they're replacing it with this transgenderism and radical racial divisiveness. And they've also brought in policies that have made our classrooms war zones where you can't discipline children. There's no consequences. So teachers are they're not being represented at all. Teachers need a new voice. The unions are not their voice.
Now, how do you think this can be resolved? If you're saying that the teachers union is taking on a life of its own by getting more involved in politics and becoming a special interest group by itself, what could be the solution to resolve not only the current strike, but also going forward?
In my opinion, the only way to resolve the problems in our schools is to remove the unions 100%. Not just give people a choice to not be a part of it, but actually kick them out. Our American founders started our schools in a very specific way, and they said the only way you can keep a free republic is with a well-educated, moral citizenry that can self-govern. The unions have destroyed excellence education. They are destroying the morals because they don't want people to self-govern. So the only way we can save our country and save our schools is to march these unions and their special interest groups right out of our schools and put great teachers and good parents in charge again.
Thank you so much, Rebecca, for joining us today.
Thank you, David.
We're going to take a short break, but here's a look at what we got for you when we come back. The governor had planned to expand financial aid programs in 2024, but the state's projected budget deficit may impact the amount and type of aid available for future college students. Amazon announced another round of layoffs. As many as 9,000 people will lose their jobs. And stargazers and astronomy enthusiasts are soon in for a treat. 5 planets will align and become simultaneously visible in the night sky next week. That and more on California Today. Welcome back to California Today. I'm your host, Liang Zhang. California's financial aid programs were set to expand in 2024. Governor Gavin Newsom had originally pledged a portion of the state's fiscal budget to do so. However, state officials say California now faces a budget problem.
In his 2022-2023 fiscal year budget, Governor Gavin Newsom had plans to expand access and eligibility to Cal Grant, the state's financial aid program, beginning in 2024. But according to a March 14th memo, the State Legislative Analyst's Office indicated that the state is facing a budget problem due to insufficient revenue. State analysts say the state is facing a $22.5 billion deficit for this upcoming 2023-2024 fiscal year. Analysts believe the ongoing deficit will continue through 2027 and have recommended that the state delay the planned reforms by 1 year. Additionally, analysts suggest that the state could increase current Cal Grant awards instead of expanding the program. The memo says, quote, "These options would result in certain students receiving more assistance with their living costs, which has been a legislative priority over the past few years." According to a 2022 press release, the California Student Aid Commission, the state agency responsible for distributing financial aid, says the proposed changes would simplify the Cal Grant program. It would consolidate the aid into 2 awards, one for community college students and one for 4-year university students. Under the changes, awards would be guaranteed to students if they meet the income eligibility thresholds. Requirements based on age, time since high school graduation, and grade point average would also be removed.
Speaking of the budget and spending, the governor announced at the San Isidro port of entry recently plans to tackle the drug crisis that took tens of thousands of lives last year. This comes amid a potential budget deficit.
Governor Gavin Newsom released his administration's master plan for tackling the fentanyl and opioid crisis on Monday. It builds on his $1 billion investment to address the crisis and includes a new effort for the state to manufacture its own opioid overdose reversal drug, naloxone. According to Newsom's office, nearly 29,000 pounds of fentanyl were seized in operations supported by CalGuard in 2022. This is a 594% increase in seizures since 2021. The governor also proposed an additional $96 million in the 2023-24 budget, of which $79 million would go to the naloxone distribution project, $10 million for grants for education, testing, recovery, and support services. The remaining funds would go into making fentanyl test strips more widely available, as well as funding Prop 98 to provide overdose medication to all middle and high schools. Newsom's office cites that over 71,000 Americans died in 2022 from fentanyl-linked overdoses and drug poisonings. According to the Drug Enforcement Administration, a vast majority of fentanyl in the U.S. comes via ports of entry at the border through trafficking by organized crime rings. David Lamb, Entity News, California.
Amazon is the latest big tech company to announce more layoffs. The company says as many as 9,000 people will lose their jobs.
Amazon said on Monday it would cut 9,000 jobs, making it the latest big tech company to announce a second round of layoffs in the face of a possible recession. Numerous tech giants, including Microsoft, Salesforce, Alphabet, and Meta, have slashed thousands of jobs in recent months after pandemic-led hiring sprees left them overstaffed. CEO Andy Jassy said the company had added a substantial amount of staff in the past few years, but the uncertain economy has forced it to choose cost and headcount cuts. The cuts will be concentrated in its cloud services, advertising, and Twitch units. Amazon last month said operating profit may continue to slump in the current quarter. Sales from its lucrative cloud computing division slowed during the fourth quarter. Amazon has scaled back or shut down entire services like its virtual primary care offering for employers. Shares of Amazon were down 1.4% in morning trading on the NASDAQ.
In San Diego County, an educator named Jacqueline Ma from Chula Vista, who was recently named Teacher of the Year, is facing more felony charges of alleged inappropriate relationship with a 13-year-old former student.
On March 13, elementary school teacher Jacqueline Ma pleaded not guilty to 15 felony charges. She's being charged for allegedly grooming and sexually abusing a former student. According to the National City Police Department, a parent suspected her 13-year-old son was, quote, possibly having an inappropriate relationship. Ma was arrested last Tuesday, then re-released on a $100,000 bail. She was rearrested on Thursday for additional alleged charges. The prosecutor, Deputy District Attorney Drew Hart, argued to keep Ma in custody without bail, saying she's a flight risk. Superior Court Judge Carlos Varela on Thursday agreed, and Ma is currently being held in custody without bail. Ma faces up to 29 years in jail if convicted of all charges. The San Diego DA office said Ma's next court hearing is on March 21st.
Last year, parts of California were plagued by a severe drought that led to officials restricting residents of their outdoor water usage. But recent storms have helped alleviate these conditions, and Southern California has rescinded its restrictions.
On March 15th, the Metropolitan Water District, or MWD, of Southern California announced that it would be rescinding its emergency outdoor watering restrictions. The MWD board voted last week to end the restrictions that impacted 6 local water agencies in Los Angeles, Ventura, and San Bernardino counties that were heavily dependent on supplies from the State Water Project. Last June, approximately 6 million people in the affected agencies were ordered to restrict outdoor watering to 1 day per week, but due to the recent winter storms, supplies in the region have been replenished. According to a statement, MWD General Manager Adele Haga-Khalil says, quote, while we certainly appreciate the improved water supply conditions, I want to caution everyone that our challenges are not over. Water district officials also noted that while it is lifting the restrictions, the state's water supply still remains limited. Officials are urging residents to continue conserving water wherever possible.
Stargazers and astronomy lovers are in for a treat next week. For one night on March 28th, 5 planets will be visible at the same time in the night sky. Let's hear more on how to locate the planets in the sky.
This rare astronomical phenomenon is known as a large planetary alignment. According to the website Starwalk, Jupiter, Mercury, Venus, Uranus, and Mars will gather on March 28th within a 50-degree sky sector. People interested in the stellar astronomical event are encouraged to start observing the sky shortly after sunset. 2 bright planets, Jupiter and Mercury, will be visible near the horizon in the constellation Pisces. According to Starwalk, Venus will be the brightest of all 5 planets, shining at a magnitude of -4 in the constellation Aries. Uranus will shine close to Venus, but will probably be the most difficult to locate. You might even need a pair of binoculars to catch a glimpse of it. And the 5th and final planet, Mars, will be higher in the sky, closer to the moon in the constellation Gemini. Starwalk says March 28th will be the best day to see the planets in alignment, as long as it's a clear sky. But the 5 planets will still be visible together in the days prior and those following. Less than a year ago, 5 other planets simultaneously dazzled stargazers. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn were visible to most of the world in late June 2022. And more recently, an alignment of 2 planets, Venus and Jupiter, occurred at the beginning of March 2023.
Now let's check in with NTD's Carlos Reyes for today's Sports Roundup.
Hi, I'm Carlos Reyes, taking you through the California Today Sports Roundup.
Rookie Ochai Agbaji scored a career-high 27 points to lead shorthanded Utah to a victory over Sacramento and Salt Lake City. Agbaji, who led Kansas to the NCAA championship a year ago, made several key plays down the stretch to help the Jazz win despite the absence of injured starters Lauri Markkanen, Jordan Clarkson, and Colin Sexton. Kelly Olynyk tallied 19 points, 10 rebounds, and 8 assists for Utah. De'Aaron Fox produced 37 points and 7 assists, and Keegan Murray had 22 points. But the Kings saw their 3-game winning streak end. A Domantas Sabonis dunk cut the gap to 123 to 120, but Agbaji restored a 5-point advantage with a pair of free throws with 41.3 seconds remaining, and Utah closed it out. Jazz 128, Kings 120. Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson combined for 59 points as Golden State snapped an 11-game road losing streak with a victory over Houston. Curry finished with 30 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists, while teammate Thompson added 29 points and 7 rebounds. They combined to shoot 21 for 44 overall and 10 for 28 from three-point range to pace the Warriors. Jonathan Kuminga chipped in with 17 points off the bench for Golden State, which won on the road for the first time since a January 30th victory at Oklahoma City. All 5 starters scored in double figures for the Rockets. Rookie Tari Eason posted his 7th double-double with 21 points and 12 boards, while fellow rookie teammate Jabari Smith Jr. also recorded a double-double with 17 points and 11 rebounds. Warriors 121, Rockets 108. Darnell Nurse scored with 15 seconds remaining in overtime to give Edmonton a wild win over visiting San Jose, marking the Oilers' 4th consecutive victory. Matthias Ekholm had 2 goals and Tyler Yamamoto had a goal and an assist for Edmonton. Leon Draisaitl, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and Connor McDavid each had 2 assists, and Nick Bjugstad contributed with a score for the Oilers. Jack Campbell stopped 28 of 32 shots for the win. James Reimer made 46 saves for the Sharks, who are on a 7-game losing streak. Erik Karlsson had 2 goals, Alexander Barabanov had a goal and an assist, and Steven Lorentz scored San Jose's other goal. Oilers 5, Sharks 4. Adrian Kemp had 2 goals and an assist for Los Angeles in a win against visiting Calgary. Carl Grundstrom scored 2 goals and Victor Arvidsson, Drew Doughty, and Mikey Anderson each had a goal and an assist for the Kings, who are 8-0-2 in their past 10 games. Los Angeles' Gabriel Velarde also scored, and Ans Kopitar, Quinton Byfield, and Rasmus Kupari logged 2 assists apiece. Tyler Toffoli and Noah Hannafin scored, and Jacob Markstrom stopped 20 of 26 shots for Calgary before he was replaced after 2 periods. Dan Vladar came in and finished with 11 saves for the Flames, who are 1-1-2 in their past 4 games. Kings 8, Flames 2.
And that is it for today's Sports Roundup. I'm Carlos Reyes. Thank you for watching.
That's all we've got for you tonight. We'd like you to join us again on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. Make sure to check out our broadcasts on our California Today webpage. You can find it at ntd.com/California-Today. You can also find all of our top latest clips there, ready to share with friends and family. Send us a message on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or through our email, california.today@ntd.com. I'm Ling Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.